Hello, Zuko here. But I guess you probably already know me, sort of. Uh, so the thing is, I listen to a lot of After Credits Cast, and I'm asking you to check out their page on patreon.com/Recesscast Productions. They're good now. I mean, I thought they were good before, with bonus episodes, exclusive content, and early access for their fans. But anyway, I think it's time you visited patreon.com/Recesscast Productions and listened to their show. Well, what's your answer?
You can dance if you want to, but if you don't dance, you're no dragon of mine. Welcome to the After Credits Cast, the only podcast to kill friendships based on dancing ability. I'm your host, AJ Waseska, and I'm joined by my dancing fiend, Ryan Metters.
Oh my god. I usually have something quippy to say, but I'm just laughing at the intro. God damn it.
You could follow us, you could boogie on down to our various platforms of choice, including Patreon, YouTube, Pippa, Apple Podcast, Google something, whatever it is, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, TuneIn, Podcast Addict, and many more. You can also shuffle on down to Twitter, Tumblr, and Facebook to follow us and, reach out to us, comments, all that stuff. Ryan, if they want to dance the night away on our email, where could they email us at?
They can email us at Ryan and AJ Do the Fusion Dance at excuse me. Sorry. Must have been a fanfic somewhere. No, that's evacstation at gmail.com.
I unfortunately am not accessorized for that. I need earrings still.
No, only punks do it with the earrings. We gotta synchronize the dance.
Oh, okay. Wait, so if I remember right, the earrings are one option, dancing's the other option. Is that how that works?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like how I'm the one who's followed more Dragon Ball stuff. I can't remember that, but you can. To be fair, though, I always thought the fusion thing was kind of weird.
I mean, Vegeta was pretty boss, but that's fine.
Yeah. Welcome back to the After Credits Cast, a show that we talk about Avatar stuff while movie films are not getting to movie theaters. Words.
Movie theater, movie theater, movie theater.
Words.
Theater.
So today we'll continue on our trend for the rest of the season. We're almost to the end, though. We only have, doing hard math in my head, 5 episodes left. We're really close to the end here, I think. And we'll start with Side A, the Western Air Temple, which aired in the U.S. after an 8-month hiatus on July 14th of 2008. I was now 18 and legally an adult. Written by Elizabeth Welsh-Eaz and Tim Hedrick, and directed by Ethan Spalding. The animation was done by JM Animation. The cast includes no new members. Not at this time. All returning people. You've seen them all before. Ryan, do you have any fun facts for me?
I do, in fact. I've got 3. Katara's warning to Zuko in this episode mirrors Avatar Roku's warning to Fire Lord Sozin from the Avatar and the Fire Lord, both speaking of one step out of line resulting in death.
I
believed it a little more from Roku, but that's okay.
I was gonna say I don't believe Katara as strongly. I don't think she's got it in her.
I mean, we'll see how close she's got it in her in a couple episodes, but that's spoilers. Mm-hmm. Next up, Brian and Mike revealed in a commentary that they wanted to add Teo, Haru, and the Duke exploring the temple to the episode, but time did not allow for this. Of course, it's completely understandable.
That would have been a fun second episode, like a secondary episode, maybe like a webisode or something like that.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, this is the first episode back. We've got to reestablish the tone. And we have to introduce Zuko back to the group, and then we have to kind of glide that in. That's a lot to fit in 30 minutes, so I don't fault them for this. All right. Final fun fact: there's nothing else fun about this episode. This is the last fun fact. No, according to the Nickelodeon website, Combustion Man died after Sokka's boomerang hit his head because the impact closed his third eye chakra, causing him to explode when he tried to use his power. Absolutely. Of course that man is dead. 100%.
Pretty sure he's dead, yeah. I mean, I can't find the body, but, you know, when you die in explosions, pretty sure we don't need to check a fur pulse on that one.
Yeah, I mean, usually when an explosion... Oh, wow, that got dark. Nope, that got dark in my head. I was going to quote the Joker and say that the body usually ends up in several places rather than one place.
Yep, I like that one. That's good.
Yeah.
But
good, I'm glad Sokka got a win. Like, Sokka took out a notable villain, a notable antagonist.
Some would argue luck was a big factor. I would say, no, it was math.
My man is boomerang master. Y'all, like, don't play my boy Sokka like that.
I've got a quick synopsis here for you, Ryan. Are you ready for this?
Yes, sir.
Zuko tries to join the gang, but they aren't really feeling it. He tries to prove himself time and time again, only to be rejected and even as a prisoner. Toph tries to reach out to him, but things go poorly and everyone gets hurt. As the gang prepares to deal with Zuko, thinking he's a threat, Sparky Boom Man returns for one final assassination attempt. Zuko tries to stop him, but only Sokka and his mighty boomerang can bring Sparky Boom Man to an end. After Sokka heroically saves the day, with skill and grace, the rest of the gang decide to let Zuko join. But Katara's all like, you best check yourself before I wreck yourself.
Yep. That is pretty much word for word what she said, yeah.
I think it's exactly what she said, if I remember right.
That's a direct quote. You can quote me on that direct quote.
Yep. You can quote me quoting him on that direct quote. It's all quotable, honestly.
It's all quotable.
Yep. Heroic Sokka saves the day. I think that's pretty much the short end of that version there. Ryan, what do you think of that episode?
So I really liked it. I thought it was... So it's the culmination of what, like the big thing that we knew was that we, like, have seen building up throughout the first half of this season. Finally, Zuko joins the gang and is going to be his firebending teacher, which is fantastic, and I love it. Absolutely love it. I think it also does a good job of kind of reestablishing tone, like I mentioned earlier. But it's fun to see Zuko kind of out of his element. So serious things are happening, but it feels a little less serious because Zuko is full on awkward. It's just like, why am I so bad at being good? One of my top 10 lines in this show. I fucking love that line. So it's good to see him kind of being unsure, not unsure that he wants to do it, but unsure how he does it. And it's really that awkwardness and sincerity that gets him his spot. You know, like nothing that he does, like trying to intentionally like win them over works, but when they see how sincere he is, even like going up and trying to stop Combustion Man by his goddamn self, like sincerity goes a long way. And even the accidental fuck up with Toph endears him to Aang because it's like, that's a lesson that I know personally. Holy shit, I think you are supposed to be my teacher. That callback was flawless, honestly.
I mean, plus it's like, oh hey, you burnt Topless. I don't like her either, so good on you, man.
Yeah, she's been pissing me off, man.
I mean, she took my staff once and broke nuts with it. That's rude. Like, come on. Anyway, no, all joking aside, no, I think you're pretty much spot on. I think this episode is 100% on the shoulders of Zuko and Dante Basco's performance of Zuko. I know we haven't really mentioned it much, but he has been a pretty solid voice actor throughout this whole series. But I think episodes like this, where he goes all over the place in tone, from nice, happy, goofy to like this angsty, sad, like broken kid, like he plays a really solid range in one episode, pretty hardcore. So shout out to Dante Basco just for that alone, I think.
Yeah, I mean the other episode, like, I mean, they've really been stretching Zuko and to affect Dante Bosco, they've been stretching his range ever since the back half of season 2. But it's really in season 3 that they've been like pushing him, because I mean this is the culmination of Zuko's journey. This is his huge growth moment. So like having to play multiple notes other than just angsty teen is like it's like Dante does an amazing job of carrying that, not only making it sincere but also hitting all of those different notes and switching back and forth through them with a lot of sincerity. So yeah, I kudos to him, man. He's fantastic in this role.
Let's go to some questions here real quick. Tio, Duke, and Haru don't really add much to the plot of the coming episodes, or even this one. So why do you think they're still a part of the roster at this time?
Honestly, I think it's just a consequence of the plot because it's the younger members of the squad that didn't get captured, and it made sense because the older members of the team that were like, hey, the younger ones need to get out of here. The us adults, we can handle what's about to happen. We don't want you kids to go through that. So it makes sense that they were just there because they also escaped. But yeah, it does feel a little odd that they're there pretty much for the entirety of the episode and yet do nothing.
And it's not really a commentary that they're worthless characters, but more just if you have extra characters there, A, you have to keep track of them for continuity's sake and for plot's sake. B, you have to also animate them when they are going to be there. There's just more characters and more things you have to draw and animate and more characters you've got to write for. To me, it just seems like you're adding these 3 there for no real plot benefit, and it's more work than what's necessary to actually have. I don't know. It seems like more than I'd want to do.
I think it's just a consequence of the plot. I don't think they made the choice to have them there and then decided not to do anything with them. But just keep in mind that this episode is coming right after the invasion failed. So it's not like they could have dipped off to an established safe house, dropped the kids off, and then gone to the Western Air Temple to have this episode. It makes sense since it's literally happening, like, the next day.
Yeah.
Like, of course they're there because we literally just escaped with our lives. Oh, fuck.
Now, in all fairness, at the time of watching this, was 8 months after the last episode, so
very true.
You don't feel that urgent, like, oh, it's the next day thing quite as hard.
Very, very true.
Is it as a Combustion Man or his final battle really satisfying to you? Why or why not? Right?
Okay, so the charitable view of it is that Sokka gets to take out a villain that literally all the master benders on the team couldn't take out, because he has to think like outside the box with it and hits him with the fucking trusty boomerang literally as he's about to blow something up, which is perfect. I love it. The uncharitable view of that is that Combustion Man is jobbed out to get Zuko a place on the squad. So I think it's a worthy goal to sacrifice his character for, because Zuko needs to be on the team, and I think it works as narratively, but I think there's definitely more use that you could have gotten out of this character, and I think that's the reason why Combustion Lady becomes such a prominent villain in Korra, because they're like, this concept is so boss, but we did not have any time to really play with it, so we're gonna make one of the villains one of these people, and they're gonna be wrecking people's shit.
I would say the biggest disappointment for me in this one is that Combustion Man didn't get a flashy or interesting final fight. Like, yeah, Sokka gets a moment, and it's really cool. No one's going to argue that one. But looking at his first encounter with Aang and them in that canyon, That was well animated. There was some really good visual combat going on. There was really good choreography going on. It was fun to watch. And it just kind of bums me out that in his final battle, we don't get to see any cool choreography happen. It's mostly just everyone standing around and talking while he blows up some stuff. And again, Sokka gets a good moment. Not going to take it away from him. But it would have been cool to see other people do something interesting in between those 2 points.
Absolutely. I think it's just a narrative consequence of like everything that needed to happen at that point in time. They needed to escape. Zuko needed to show up and be rebuffed from the group a bunch of times. And but he ultimately needed to be accepted, and Combustion Man needed to be shelved as a character. So that's a lot of stuff to do in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
It does. I do agree. I wish he as a character could have gotten more combat play, or even fleshed out his character and backstory a little more. Because at this point, he's just a really kick-ass guy with a metal arm that blows people up by looking at them. That's literally all you know about him.
And you know what? I'm okay with him not getting a backstory and all that stuff. Like, I mean, that would be cool, sure. But I'm okay without it just because I think his intention was just to be a hired goon, just to be muscle.
Yeah.
That's fine. But have your hired goon and muscle at least do something cool before the end of it. That's all I'm asking for.
I feel you. And I agree.
Is Katara right to be upset with Zuko at this point? Why or why not?
Oh, dude, yeah. Oh, if anybody is like has a call to be like livid at this dude, it's definitely Katara. I feel like because Katara, remember, Katara was the one.
Oh, I know.
Almost got him. Almost got through to him. It's like, I was vulnerable with you. I was telling you about my mom. I almost used this on your scar, and had I done that, Aang would be dead. Fuck you. Like, I absolutely see like why she's that pissed. She was the first one that was going to be willing to give this dude a chance, and he pretty much spat in her face 5 minutes after she had been so close to doing it.
And she even says as much in an upcoming episode. So I feel you.
Yeah.
I get Toph not really being hip to the hate Zuko train since she barely really interacted with him. Like, by the time she joined, Zuko wasn't even hunting them anymore. So
Right.
And she also knows Iroh and wants to give Zuko a chance, probably partly for him because she respects Iroh so much, like we all do. So I can see why she would be like, let's just give him a chance. Sokka, definitely, I appreciate his outlook on it the most, though, because he's like, listen, Aang, you're the one who needs a firebending teacher. You're calling this one. Whatever you want to do. That's probably the most respectful response, I think, to the whole thing. Because it really should be Aang's call of who his teacher should be at the end of the day.
Yeah. I mean, but I also understand. I understand Toph's like angle from a purely pragmatic standpoint. It's just like, we know this dude can fight. We know he knows you. Like you need a teacher, and he's here like actually being contrite and like wanting to reform himself. So like for her, it lines up very well.
It matches her personality very well.
Right. It's like, look, you like practicality. You need a firebending teacher. You know this guy. You know he's capable of it, and he's literally here putting himself at your feet. Why not do that?
Yeah. No, I definitely think they everyone's responses definitely fit the personalities. I think it all plays really well to the conclusion here. Speaking of which, Ryan, if you had been put in the role of our heroes, would you have given Zuko this second/third chance? Why or why not?
Man, the hard part about this decision is that the audience knows the work that Zuko's done to get to this point.
Mm-hmm.
The heroes don't. Like all they know of Zuko is Zuko sided with Azula and almost got Aang killed. Boom! Like that's a huge mark in the in the con column. That's a huge con right there. Like, so I completely understand the hesitance. I I feel like the resistance to it is definitely valid, but the connection to accidentally hurting Toph, showing contrition, and tying that to a lesson that Aang knows in his heart to be true. Not only knows in his heart to be true, but was also taught to him by essentially the only other non-dick firebender that he's met, aside from Zuko and Iroh, which is Zhang Zhang.
Mm-hmm.
Zhang Zhang's whole teachings were, you need to learn to control the fire, because if you don't, you will hurt people. So Zuko literally coming at him with that lesson and knowing it from his heart, it makes absolute sense. It's just like, yeah, no, it's you. Yeah, no, I'm supposed to learn from you. Okay, I get it.
I think for me, I would be like Sokka and let Aang make the final call because it would be his teacher, but I would probably have taken a more, like, I would take a more open approach to his first arrival and not having gone through everything they did. I probably would have interviewed him with a billion questions, like, okay, we need to figure out exactly why you're here, like why you personally chose to make this decision. I would probably even have one of the benders on watch for the remainder of the time they can, just to make sure he doesn't do anything stupid. And once you have enough people say, okay, I think he's clear, that's when you start giving him a little more freedom to kind of do his own thing. But I would definitely be more cautiously accepting of it, just to kind of get the ball rolling, versus this we can't take him in at all kind of approach. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I definitely get that.
So, I think Qatar probably would have hated my call on it, but at the same time, it's like, hey, you know what? Toph's not wrong, and if we are smart about it, even if he does betray us, we can be best prepared for it. Like, hands down. There's more of us than there are him. Final question, Ryan. This is more of just a silly one-off question. What do you make of the architecture of the Western Air Temple, and how would those buildings have been constructed?
I have no fucking idea. I was like, this is... What?
It's one of the coolest visuals
Can
for, like,
the
a location.
airbenders just defy gravity? What the fuck?
I have to imagine they hired out some, like, or some Earth Temple, or Earth bending contractors at some point.
It's just... It's boggling my mind, because unless they literally could just reverse gravity, all of the buildings are constructed to look like they're facing downward from the outside, but on the interior of those buildings would have had to been normally set up.
Yep.
And that's weird to me. Like, why did you do this?
Like,
I expected it to be, like, built, like, underneath the shelf of, like, underneath that shelf of rock, but into the side of the temple, just, like, with just the open-facing gorge, like, out in front of them. But having it be upside down was just crazy for me.
It's crazy, but at the same time, though, it's one of the most visually striking places they've been to, and it's just...
Yeah.
It's so cool. Like, it's one of those things I've actually attempted to recreate in Minecraft just for funsies, like, because, like, it's just... It's a very bizarre thing to see, and I don't know.
It's really dope. It's really dope. It's just like, what the fuck?
Like, for y'all listening, if you haven't seen it yet, and again, I don't know why you're listening to this show if you haven't seen this stuff yet, but if you haven't seen it yet, or want to get a reminder of what it looks like, just look up Western Air Temple, and just see what it looks like again, because yeah, it just looks very weird and very cool, and just one of those weird locations that sticks out to me. I don't know. Also, while you're on the internet, look up There Is No War in Ba Sing, or look up War in Ba Sing Se.
Perfect.
That was one of the best things. Ryan, when I'm making thumbnails and I come across that kind of stuff, it just makes me smile.
It's really good. Oh my god.
With that, we'll move on to Side B, The Firebending Masters, which aired July 15th, 2008. Written by John O'Brien and directed by Giancarlo Volpe, animated by Moe Animation. The cast includes Brian Tucci as, how do you pronounce his name again? Ham Gao? Is that what it was?
I think so. Yeah.
And then Robert Ito as the Sun Warrior Chief. That's all I got. Ryan, you have some fun facts for me?
3 of them, in fact. The Sun Warriors' architecture resembles that of Indian Buddhist stupas and Tibetan monasteries. Again, just seeding various marks of culture and representation throughout the entirety of this story. Oh my god, this is how you do it right.
Yep.
I love it.
I got an Aztec vibe out of him, but I think that also works too.
Yeah, I felt that too. Right. Next up, the entire dancing dragon form bears a striking resemblance to the real-life Long Ying Mo Kui, which is the traditional Southern Dragon Kung Fu style.
Yep.
Again, hats off to the fight choreographers and the masters that they had on set to really lend some authenticity to this stuff. Finally, eternal flames are common among many ancient religions. In particular, the Hebrew Bible commands that the altar flame must never go out. The Sun Warriors have also seen The Sun Warriors also seem to have a shofar, which is a musical horn made from a ram's horn that is used to announce religious ceremonies.
Very, very culturally detailed episode, I think.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And of course, you can also take that the Eternal Flame reference to other things too. Like I know, Survivor as like an actual like show that like that the whole thing of fire is life. If it goes out, you're out of the show kind of thing. Like it's a motif that's used in a lot of things. So it's a fun reference, I think. A little cliche, but a fun reference. Are you ready for a synopsis, Ryan?
I am.
Aang has a new firebending teacher. That's good. But he now sucks at firebending. That's bad. But they find the ancient ruins of Sun Warriors to learn more about firebending. That's good. But it's full of traps and they get oozed. That's bad. Then we get to find out the Sun Warriors are still alive, which is good. But they don't like the Avatar and Farouk's mistake or Zuko's family for being horrible. That's bad. So they are tasked to meet the firebending masters and judged for their non-crimes. That's good. But the firebending masters are actual fucking dragons, which were thought to be extinct. Which is bad. Luckily, the masters judged them well, showing off a rainbow of flames. Both Zuko and Aang are given a rekindled appreciation and the ability to firebend, along with a powerful new form, the Dancing Dragon.
Ah, God. I love this fucking episode so much. This is such a good episode.
I feel bad Chaz isn't here to go over this one, because this is one of the ones he was hardcore wanting to be here for.
Oh, man.
So, I guess we'll start with just the general overview again. Ryan, what did you think of the episode overall?
I liked it. It was good. It again kind of broadens the world in general. Like I would not say this isn't a filler episode. Like definitely a plot happens in this episode, but it does so much to kind of fill in the outerlying edges of the world even more. And not only that, but you get a little bit of background on Iroh and how the philosophy that he learned from the dragons has also kind of already been passed down to Zuko a bit, and it's only now when he actually meets him and he hears about what Iroh went through that he gets a little more understanding about just how amazing Iroh is.
Absolutely. And I will say that on a visual level, this is probably one of the most impressive episodes overall. Mm-hmm. And there are moments in this episode that we will talk about here shortly that really kind of click with me, especially now with my recent change in profession, which, again, will be fun to dive into shortly. But overall, I think this is a fun episode, and I can't wait to really sink our teeth into it. First question I got for you, Ryan, is were you surprised in your initial viewing to see dragons were in fact still alive in the world of Avatar?
I was very surprised. I was super excited to see that happened. And once they showed up, it made sense. But like, it definitely still was a big surprise for me.
Mm-hmm. I'm a big fantasy nerd, so whenever I see dragons in something, I click with it pretty quick. Dragons, dinosaurs, ninjas, One Piece pirates, anything with those things, them I'll click with it pretty quick. There's not a lot of things with One Piece pirates in them, just so you know. Only one thing I know of, and that's One Piece. But still, it's something. Anyway, no, there have been hints that dragons were in this universe at some point, and we just never seen them. We've even seen it with the Roku flashback episodes and his spirit we saw in the first season. So we've known they've existed, but this is the first time we actually get to see them alive and in the present. And so it's just kind of it's refreshing to know that not all the magic in the world has disappeared due to this war. That's kind of my big takeaway, I think.
No.
What are your thoughts on seeing Aang and Zuko knowingly work together for the first time? Because we've seen them work together before. They just weren't fully aware of it yet.
It's cool. It's really, really cool to see. Cause yeah, you do get kind of reminiscent of the Blue Spirit and that move, and it's like they can work together well, that they have good chemistry, but it's the background of their past that's fucking with it. But having them get to have their own solo episode to like kind of work through their differences is definitely a great way to kind of catch Zuko up to speed on the group dynamic by just giving them all a chance to kind of to really get to know Zuko on a personal level. So seeing him and Aang work together and have it be comedically like bad at the beginning, but also like they start to really like find each other's flow, I thought was really well done.
Mm-hmm. And I like they both approach problems very differently, which makes sense. I mean, Aang has never been eye to eye with Zuko, and same kind of thing with Toph. Like, I like that he doesn't immediately get along with all of his masters like most people wouldn't with their teachers, but he tries, and they still work together well in the end. And I don't know, it's a good arc. Is the best way to put it.
Yeah. Plus, it makes sense that he doesn't automatically see eye to eye with his teachers because they have something new to teach him, and he has to kind of change himself and like bend a little bit in order to get a completely different point of view and learn a completely different style of bending. So it makes sense that Zuko doesn't automatically fit into the group because the group also has to mold a little to fit him.
Mm-hmm. Which I guess here's a question I want to throw in there that I didn't originally, but it kind of ties into this a little bit. What were your initial thoughts on Zuko's inability to firebend, and what are your then thoughts on the conclusion of that arc?
I was surprised, and I wasn't really sure about where they were taking it. At the beginning of the episode, I'm just like, wait, but now he can't firebend? The fuck? Like, that's weird.
His dick's broken. Oh no.
Yeah, his dick's broken. But I absolutely love the like how the journey that they have to go on. It culminates not only in just a new style of firebending that they learn, but a philosophical kind of
journey.
Fuck. No, what's the damn it. It's another word for discovery. Like a philosophical,
Hang on, let me look it up. I got a thesaurus here.
Fuck. Wow. I hate when this happens.
Hang on.
Epiphany!
Oh,
yes!
That word.
Philosophical epiphany.
Aha moment.
There it is, yes. An aha moment where so it's not only about learning in a concrete, like physical form that they can do, but him having an epiphany about where firebending comes from, how it works deep down inside, and how it's fueled by your own inner fire and his own passion. Him being able to make that connection So it's not only just Aang getting better at firebending, but it's Zuko leveling up as a firebender as well. Like, he was already amazing, but now he has a deeper, more intrinsic understanding of firebending as a discipline in general. So I thought it was a great way to give both of them a boost up with one episode.
And it's funny too that you mention it because it's one of those things that I imagine Iroh has been trying to teach him all these years, but he didn't have the perception or experience to really understand what Iroh was trying to push on him. And
Yeah,
now that he has, he's probably got a whole new appreciation for what Iroh was trying to teach him beyond what he already was getting.
absolutely.
So
I mean, then on top of that, you hear that Iroh actually like was intrinsic in was like integral in hiding the dragons away to make sure that they could survive. And like, oh yeah, he came back and said he killed the last dragon, and we haven't seen any more left, so we're gonna call him the Dragon of the West. But really, he just saved the dragons. It's like Iroh's too good for this world. What the fuck did we do to deserve him?
if he had been born in either nation, he probably would not have gotten his story out there. But man, yeah, let's just skip to that one real quick. We'll come back. Who else wants to see? I guess Ryan, do you want to see Iroh's time with the Sun Warriors, and would you want to see more of Sun Warrior culture in general?
I'm still all for the prequel show following Iroh. I'm 100% down for that. That would be amazing, amazing. As far as the Sun Warrior culture, what I would love to see is what the Sun Warrior culture has become or morphed into during or after the time of Korra, because I want to see what, like, how that kind of preserved culture, how that preserved culture either shies away from technological advancement or like incorporates it in a new way. I want to see what they became after Iroh saved them.
Also, there's a lot of the stuff we see in Avatar: Last Airbender that we didn't get to see in Korra. Like we didn't really get to see Omashu. We didn't get to see I guess we did see the swamp, but we didn't get. There's a lot of like locations that we didn't get to see in general. And
Absolutely.
I'd like to see how they've evolved and changed. We didn't really even get to see the Fire Nation at all. I don't think. What have they been up to since the end of the war? You know. So yeah, there's a lot of I'd like to see. Sun Wars is definitely a part of that. And like we've said a million times already, the fact we haven't got an Iroh prequel, show, comic, anything is just kind of annoying at this point. Like, there's so much lore and story that we'd love to see. And I get that, you know, not every prequel's worth telling. Not every prequel is good. Look at Wolverine Origins, for example. But Iroh is such a fascinating, loving character, and it's kind of like we want to see the arc of how he became what he was, which was just another asshole firebending general, to what he is now. Because, like, how do you do that? Because we've seen how those people are raised, how those people are taught, how that whole lineage was formed. That's a hard mold to break. Like, even losing your son is something that you wouldn't expect to shake that up, considering how what they've gone through. So something else happened to really make that click, and I want to know in that arc from one point to the other what happened. Like, there's a lot of questions I've got that I would like to see some kind of answer to.
Yeah, honestly, there's only one story that I've seen that that adequately, in my opinion, tells that story from how you go to like a horrible like asshole to like the wise the wise like elder that people look up to like in the present tense, and how you kind of get that as a backstory. And it's called it starts in a book called The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson,
I think you
my
mentioned it
favorite
before.
author. Yeah, but yeah, one of the characters has a similar arc, and you see him at his, you see him like almost at his Uncle Iroh stage. Like he's known as a brilliant war general and like a hard leader, but he's trying to become better. He's not an asshole when you first meet him. He's just hard, and like trying to be a better person. And then in subsequent books, you see him in his youth, and he is actually fucking terrible. He's actually a horrible person. But then you see through his flashbacks the depths of things that had to happen to affect that change, and I think it's done so well. So if they ever decide to do an Iroh prequel thing, it's gonna be rough, but it's gonna be so good, especially since we know what he gets to in the end.
Get it for an HBO Max exclusive.
Do
I'd
it.
subscribe right away if you had that. Okay, I got two more questions here for you, Ryan. First off, are you satisfied with this episode being, for the most part, all we get of Aang's on-screen fire-bending training? Why or why not?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Because we get another. It's kind of blended into an episode where we get another look at a different culture that surrounds firebending, which is really cool. We get to see him learning an actual like kung fu form as based on that, which is great. And he gets a deeper philosophical understanding of the nature of firebending, which goes a long way to easing his fear of firebending. I think from the episode with Zhang Zhang back in season 1, we saw how quickly he could take to it. So the majority of the work done in this episode is to ease his fear of it, which I think is fantastic. And now that he's got a master and he's more susceptible to listening and learning, him making great strides in firebending in a short amount of time after those things were taken care of makes total sense.
Mm-hmm. I would. So I'm gonna slightly disagree. Like, I think they did a good job with what they had. I think they might have had to budget episodes and just didn't have time to. But I would have loved to have seen just one episode like Bitterwork and like the Northern Water Tribe, where you get an episode of just Zuko and Aang genuinely going over techniques, genuinely going over like how to do stuff, and you get another glimpse of it in the finale part where they're doing their final like, here's how you redirect lightning and stuff. And I think the main reason we don't see it, and this is just me guessing here, is because we've already seen Iroh go over some of this stuff with Zuko, and it would just be repetitive. And
that actually is a very good point. Yeah, we've already seen at least a season and a half's worth of firebending training because we saw Zuko get trained.
Yep. So that's why I'm not upset by it, but it definitely feels like one of those things where, like, oh, Aang automatically gets really good at this off screen. Congratulations. It's like, I know that's not necessarily what is happening, but it's the feel I get because we don't get to see him put the work in, like we did with the other two bendings. So I don't know.
We also it's also though a reminder just how incredibly gifted that Aang is.
I know.
Because Aang picked up waterbending in fucking no time. But we then had a whole season and a half of him either working on an element that was intrinsically hard for him to even fathom, or getting his ass kicked in the war. So, kind of seeing him pick it up that quickly also did a good thing to kind of bolster the audience's confidence in Aang, just to remind you, hey, he's taken some L's in the last little bit, but this dude is still really fucking good, guys. This guy's here. He's here to play. So I'm not mad at it.
Yeah.
I definitely see where you're coming from, but I'm not.
Yeah, I'm not mad. Just missed opportunity, I think. And again, I think it's largely because of what we've already seen and the budget of episodes we have left.
There's a lot of stuff to do in 8 more episodes.
Yep. Final question here, Ryan. Have you ever felt like Aang when taking on a new skill or role? What was it like, and how did you overcome your anxiety about it?
Oh man, that's like every new thing that I do. It's real hard. I'm personally, I I was one of those kids who was really good at something early on and didn't really have to work that hard
Oh,
for
you're
it.
one of those assholes.
Yeah, and it sucks. It sucks from a personal angle because when I was young, I had one thing that I tried, I didn't know how I do at it, and then I was fucking phenomenal at it and everybody loved it and I was just like, awesome. If nothing else, if something is harder to do than this, I'm not gonna do it. No point. I'm just like, so I'm just crippled from a very young age because now if I'm not immediately like okay at it, it's hard for me to feel like I should continue it. So yeah, there's like a lot of anxiety built into that because I don't wanna. It's hard for me to be bad at something. I know that's different from what Aang goes through, but from what Aang encounters in this episode and with like earthbending and whatnot. But yeah, that was where I connected to it.
Gotcha. So what you're telling me is, when I have kids, if I want to make sure they grow up right, just chuck them into Dark Souls and have them learn the hard way. Nothing's going to be
Yeah,
easy.
yeah, just make your kids' lives miserable, and that way, when they're adults, they won't mind doing hard work. This is absolutely not what like. I do not endorse this train of thought. Like, please do not abuse your codes because some rando on the internet told you to.
I'm not
Don't do
abusing them. From Software is. That's a difference. I would say for me, I'm going to use my current job as an example because, as people of the podcast, fans of the podcast know, and as you know specifically, Ryan, jumping into the role of the HVAC world after having not done any of that ever for 30 years was a bit of a shock. It's a lot of stuff you have to learn. A lot of technical stuff, a lot of social and communication skills, and then committing all of it to memory, and then being able to recall all of it on the fly when needed. All of that alone is pretty intimidating, and I still get bouts of anxiety here and there when it comes to it, just because there are some days that are bad, and it's just like, is this something I really need to be doing? Is this something that I can do? And then you have your good days where like you get that confidence boost back in. But there's one thing that we've learned throughout the past year in our apprenticeship class that I'm still super anxious about and don't want to do it as if I don't have to. And that is welding and brazing.
Ooh, boy.
So I know exactly how Aang feels trying to hold a little tiny flame and make it do something because, yeah, that shit's intimidating as fuck. And I'm like, I don't want to touch this because I don't want to burn this house down or blow something up.
Also, when you put two pieces of metal together and put that welding torch to it, that's it. They're fucking together now.
Yep. But no, like the things to consider are you've got basically an explosive on your back or on your side or wherever you're putting the gas/oxygen tanks. You have to be sure you have no leaks in your brazing, or you have to start all over again, and that also super sucks. And yeah, you have to be careful where you're doing it, because you could also melt down cords, you could melt down other metals, and you don't want to have to repair things that you didn't have broken in the first place. So,
Yeah.
it's one of the. And there's also the fact that fire is dangerous too. So, yeah, the less I have to touch the welding torch for me, the better. But I also know, much like Aang needing to learn firebending for part of essentially his job, that is something I'll have to come to grips with more as I get deeper into this role. I'm not looking forward to it, but I felt exactly like Aang the first time I held a welding torch, and I still kind of do, because it's very intimidating and scary to me.
All right, so Aaron is the Avatar, confirmed.
Yeah, I think I even mentioned this to Chaz, like, hey, this is exactly how I felt, and it's still not sitting well with me. But it's just going to take more practice and all that, and again, not looking forward to it, but it's what I got to do, so... Unless I get that book published, so hey, if y'all see that book on the shelf, buy it and get me a career of writing books, guys. That'll be fun. No burning things down for me that way. So yeah, that's all the questions I have. Ryan, any questions you want to add to that, or anything you wanted to bring up?
No. I think we did a good job. This is like this. this is a weird kind of amalgamation between a plot and a filler episode for me. Like, I absolutely love this. I absolutely love this, and I think that from a philosophical standpoint, a lot is gained in this episode. I like, granted, from like the actual plot aspect, like they need to do this so that Zuko can start teaching him firebending. But I mean, it also does a good amount of world building, so I think it covers a lot of bases. I'm really happy with this episode.
Oh yeah, and I would say too that how do I want to word it? It's one of those episodes where you're right. Not a lot happens, but these episodes, both episodes actually, they do a lot of work to get us the plot moving forward.
Yeah.
You don't really see it at face value, but when you do this podcast, when you break it down bit by bit, both episodes are doing a lot of heavy lifting to get us to the end. Like, make no joke about it, guys. We're on episodes 12 and 13 in this podcast. We are fast tracking to the final episodes here very quickly, and it's going to steamroll really quick. Like, no joke. And there's no time for filler, there's no time for jokes, there's no time for goofiness. We are full on having every episode work all cylinders to give you plot, give you character, build up to the finale, resolve plots from previous episodes. Not really a lot of rest going to be happening between now and then. Minus one episode, but that's a fun one actually, and I'm looking forward to talking about that one. You know the one.
Yep.
Anyway, so that is all for these two episodes. Before we get to that wrap up, let's just remind you guys, you can also follow us on Tumblr, Twitter, and Facebook. Leave us comments down below and tell us what you think of these episodes and how excited you are for the finale of this season. And then, Ryan, if they want to email us directly with their anxiety stories about new jobs, new skills, what have you, where could they email that stuff to?
They can email that to Rainbow Dragon Sherbert at excuse me, sorry. That's evacstation at gmail.com.
Not bad. This is where we rate the episodes from platinum to bronze, all the colors in between. Ryan, let's start with episode 1, the Western Air Temple. How would you rank that one?
Okay, so this one, it does a good job of getting us back into it, kind of reintroducing us to the characters and kind of like getting us back into the groove, showing Zuko being very, very awkward but very, very sincere, and the uneasy joining of the gang. I like the episode. I think it's a very important episode, but I also feel like, I think at the end of the day, it's just a consequence of the narrative having to do too much all at once.
Yeah.
The misuse. I wouldn't say the misuse, but the missed opportunity with the final fight with Combustion Man definitely stands out now that you mention it. I think also in comparison to other episodes, like I think I'm gonna give this one a high silver for me.
Yeah, I'm feeling silver too, and I think it's because it does a lot of work and it does it really well. But there are some things that are missed that could have been improved, and this is an episode that feels like it could have been split into a couple different episodes and really kind of given room to breathe. But at the same time, we're on a tight schedule here at this point.
Like, we gotta go, man. We got a 4-episode finale. We gotta get there.
So it's one of those things where, like, I think if this had been given more of a chance to breathe, a 4th season even, this would have been definitely a 2-parter or expand to do more. As it is, it's fine. It's good. It does its job well enough and better than most episodes. So probably a silver for sure.
Yeah.
Firebending Masters. We're ranking this one.
Okay. I definitely like it more than the Western Air Temple. I think, like, it again, it's a very important episode. It does a lot of world building, even though it doesn't physically move the plot forward a whole bunch. It does a lot of world building, and it actually, like, it gets the train running. You know, this is them restarting the engine, so to
Mm-hmm.
speak, so that we can start moving again. I think the philosophy behind firebending that they come to is amazing. I think the hijinks that Aang and Zuko get to go on are a lot of fun. I think I'm going to give this one a gold because I think it does a lot of good stuff very well. But there are some episodes, especially episodes that are coming up, that just knock it out of the park.
I think the animation alone gets this above water more than most episodes do. Like this is like
Definitely.
it's up there. It's respect to traditional religious concepts and architectures and all that. Also, again, not like informing the episode being perfect, but like it helps. It really does. That attention to detail is really good. Um, but I think when you get down to it, the plot and everything, I think it's solid. I think that Zuko and Aang trying to make up for the failures and sins of the past, and I think them going on a more philosophical journey than what you're usually expecting, especially especially because Zuko being the older character, it's something that really fits his character, and you don't see Aang really going on these philosophical journeys very much. I think it really melds the two parallel stories together in a way that we hadn't really gotten up to now.
Yeah.
So I think overall this is probably the best you could have expected. And while there are certainly some things that it could be improved on, and certainly there are episodes up ahead that are going to not blow it out of the water, but definitely stand above it. This is definitely a gold. I would love to put it higher, but I think it's just falling short of what a platinum episode would have in it.
Yeah. The bar is just getting raised. The bar is just raised at this
Yeah,
point.
it's a high bar, and we're trying to limit how many episodes surpass it because otherwise the platinum means nothing.
Yeah.
To quote to paraphrase Mr. Incredible, if everything's a platinum, nothing is.
You're actually paraphrasing Syndrome, but that's okay. It's neither here nor there.
I could have sworn Mr. Incredible said it at one point too.
Well, Dash said it.
Right?
Dash said it, and Syndrome said
Fair enough. But Syndrome's not entirely wrong.
it. Fair.
We'll get to that. We'll talk about that at some other time. Maybe. We'll see. Actually, this came out in. This is going to come out in April, so you may have already heard us talk about that. I don't know. Time is weird. So thank you for listening to this episode of the podcast. Next week, or next episode, you'll be getting to hear us talk about The Boiling Rock.
Mmm.
That's a fun two-parter right there. And with that, we only have 3 episodes left, Ryan. This 16, 17, and then 18 to the finale.
We're almost there, guys. We're almost there.
It's weird to think that we're there. It's so weird, but looking forward to every minute of it. Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you after the credits.
Bye.